video might be a little bit of a different one than what I normally do. Okay, very different. Today I'm going to be talking about how I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Because, spoilers, I was. So to make sure that there's no confusion, I'm going to be reading the perfect definition of the diabetes.ca website. Diabetes is a chronic, often debilitating and sometimes fatal disease in which the body cannot produce insulin or cannot properly use the insulin it produces. Insulin is a hormone that controls the amount of glucose, sugar, in the blood. Diabetes leads to high levels of glucose in the blood, which can damage organs, blood vessels, and nerves. The body needs insulin to use glucose as an energy source. Diabetes is when my body doesn't work very well. Thanks, pancreas. You're a pal. It is a serious thing, and it affects a lot of people, including myself. So the reason I'm making this video is because when I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic, I sat in the hospital and I just watched so many YouTube videos about people talking about diabetes and their story, and it was very helpful to me to see these people. And it's different than reading it. If it's someone telling you their story, you can kind of like connect with them and you feel that there's like other people that can kind of understand what you're going through. So I'm doing it too. I was diagnosed on July 11th, 2014. So, I mean, this is kind of a recent thing for me, you know? It's still kind of a definite learning curve. I don't know what I'm totally doing, but you know, it's just something I'm gonna have to learn to deal with for the rest of my life. Me getting diagnosed as a diabetic was it's kind of a long story, but like the long and the short of it was that I was very sick for a very long time, and we didn't know what it was, and we thought maybe I was like allergic to milk or bread, so I cut that stuff out and ate a very good diet for a very long time, which really helped because I wasn't eating a ton of carbs. But then this past year, 2013 to 14, kind of right before I was diagnosed, everything went from like meh to like meh. It was really bad. I looked like shit. And it happened so slowly, I didn't even realize it. But I'm gonna put in some pictures like right here. These pictures are me when I was sick as all hell and I didn't see it. I looked in the mirror and I didn't see a sick person. I saw just me. And it's weird because looking back, I just look so incredibly ill. And keep in mind, these are the photos that I kept. Yeah, it's scary like what you become used to if you just keep looking at it long enough. And it's shocking now. Looking back, I had like every symptom that a female will have. I had a lot of symptoms. The very first thing that I noticed, my hair stopped growing because I had no nutrients in my body or something like that. So, yep, my hair is just starting to finally grow a bit, but it was just like essentially stopped. Like my entire body, no hair was growing anywhere. It was weird, but I didn't really like register how bad it had gotten because it was kind of such a gradual thing. It was just kind of like, meh, life sucks. I started eating a metric shit ton of food. I was hungry all the time, even though I might have eaten thousands of calories in the day already, but then I was losing weight. I was spending all my money on food because I was never not eating. I would probably have 7 full-size meals in a day, and that's not even a joke. I was just like eating all the time, even though my stomach would hurt because I was so full. My brain would not be like, okay, you're not hungry anymore. You want to eat more food. I was a ravenous beast, and it was weird, but I didn't want to question it because, you know, I mean, I was eating a ton of food, and logically I was like, I should be gaining like 1,000,000 pounds right now. I have a friend who was a type 1 diabetic, and I've kind of learned a little, at that point I'd learned a little bit about it, and I was thinking, like, I went on WebMD, and you're not supposed to Google your symptoms because it's gonna tell you you're gonna die. And I did that, and I looked at the symptoms, and I like, ding, I have them all. But I didn't want to be like, oh, I think I have diabetes, but it was at the back of my mind, and I was like, I bet, maybe, but I thought I was also exaggerating things a little bit. I thought I was just kind of being a crybaby. So I called my doctor and was like, can I get a full checkup? And they're like, yeah, it'll be like 3 months though. So I was like, okay. 2 months pass at this point, and it's only gotten worse. I just felt like crap all the time. It was like walking through a haze. Everything was awful. So 2 months passed after that, and I still had a month until my doctor's appointment with my doctor. And I went to the dentist, and the dentist was kind of looking at my teeth, and she's like, you know, your gums have receded very substantially since the last time I saw you 6 months ago. You should really consider getting tested for diabetes. As soon as she said that, lights went off in my head, because ding ding ding, that was like the reason I made this doctor's appointment. As soon as she brought that up without me even mentioning it whatsoever, I was kind of like, oh, I should go to the doctor like sooner. I had to go to the doctor and get some blood tests done, because you have to get like the little form for the doctor to sign so you can get the blood work. So I went to a walk-in clinic as soon as it opened, right before I went to work on Friday the 11th. My grandma drove me before work, and we went to a walk-in clinic, just a random one, and I was like, hey, I need to get a blood test, just to test for diabetes. And I like told her all my symptoms, and she's like, you don't have diabetes. You're probably just you're just kind of getting a little overzealous here. And I was like, well, you know, I still want to get it tested just to be sure. She's like, okay. And so she wrote it out, and I was like, okay, cool. So then we went to the blood test place, which is right beside my work. And so we did that, and I was like, you have to wait a while for them to get back to you with the results. So we walked down to my grandma's car, and she has a blood glucose tester. You prick your finger, and then there's a little reader, and it tells you what your blood sugar is. And at this point, I had been fasting all day. So it was 17.3, which I think is like 310 in America. Already my grandma was like, oh, that's a little high, don't you think? I was like, I don't know. And so then we went to Tim Hortons, and I got some not very good food. I got like a bagel and one of the delicious muffins, and I got a large coffee with like 2 milks and 2 sugars, and I went to work. And before I went to work, I texted my friend with diabetes, and I was like, hey, so my blood sugar is like 17 right now. Is that bad? And he texted me back immediately, are you in the hospital? I was like, no, I'm not in the hospital. Should I be? Because at this point I was working and on my first break, because I was checking my phone. So that got me worried. Now his first instinct was to be, are you at the hospital? And no, I was working in a deli, just doing my thing as always. So I decided that, in my infinite wisdom, that I would go to a different walk-in clinic on my lunch break, and so I did that. It's directly next door. I went in there, and I kind of explained to the doctor, hey, so I had kind of got tested for diabetes like this morning, but then I went and tested my blood glucose, and it was 17. And I hadn't eaten anything yet, and the doctor was like, oh, okay. So then I had this weird pee test that I had to do, and I did that, and yep, got the beatus. He like sat me down, and at this point I just felt like shit. I don't want to be awake right now, this is awful. Because I just felt sick all the time, like all the time. And the doctor, like after a little while, they came back, they're like, you know, we're like 99% sure you have diabetes. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of figured that, like after like all these sequence of events, like, I think so. So essentially after that, they sent me to the hospital, and I called my grandparents, and I was like, guess what? And they're like, what, Sarah? I was like, I have diabetes. Can you take me to the hospital? So then I went back to my work. My manager had luckily not left yet. And I was like, hey, so I have to leave. And he's like, why? And I was like, I just went to the doctor, and I have to go to the hospital because I have diabetes. And it was just like really, really awkward to tell him. And he, like, this dude is like 6'8", so I'm like looking up at him like, yeah, I'm really sorry, because there's like nobody in the deli right now, but I need to leave. I kind of screwed them over a little bit, but what can you do? Okay, I went to the hospital with my grandparents. I got my blood sugar tested when I got there, and at this point I ate some junk food for breakfast. I went to Tim Hortons, went up to the front desk, and I was like, hey, I got sent here because I think I have diabetes, and you know, so I don't know what I'm doing here. And so she's like, okay, we need to test your blood sugar. And they did. My blood sugar was higher than the meter would go. It just said high on it. My blood sugar was 43, which is like 800. I think. So they didn't really know what to do. They're like, holy shit, you're still standing up straight. And I was like, yes, I am. My friends came and visited me like every day, and family, and like my boyfriend's family came. There was a lot of people in my hospital room at all time. It was really nice. My friends, they had a music festival that weekend, and they gave up so much of their time at this music festival to come and play Settlers of Catan with me in my hospital room, which was like amazing. And I'm forever appreciative of them for like, I don't know, come and visit me, you know? And every time someone came, I would ask them to bring me coffee because I was on a very strict diet, and I went from eating probably in the realm of like 6,000 calories a day to like what you're supposed to eat, which is like 1,200 or 1,300 calories. So it was a shock, and I was starving because my body hadn't adjusted, and I was just like on IV bag after IV bag. Like I think I had like 9 or 10 of them, I want to say. It was really gross. Essentially that happened, and then I got out of the hospital. I didn't work for like a week after that. I worked 2 jobs at the same company. I work in the office at one of the stores, and I work in the deli at one of the other stores. After I started taking insulin, it was pain. It was so painful. Every single part of my body was just like sore. It felt like I had done some marathon to the extreme, but like even my hands were sore. Like every single muscle, like my nervous system was just like screaming out because like the shock of this insulin in my body because I was undiagnosed for so long. I mean, it was worth it, of course. I mean, I'm alive. And I'm very lucky that I live in Canada because healthcare. I was in the hospital for 4 days and I paid $0 for that, which I was in like the room I was in. It was like a brand new room in this hospital. I got home and then I had nothing to do. There was no Wi-Fi in the hospital, and so I tethered my iPhone Wi-Fi onto my computer, and that was expensive as fuck, but I did it because I was bored at nighttime. I now currently take Humalog and Lantus. I take 28 units of Lantus at night, 8 to 13 units of Humalog every meal. So I still take a lot of insulin, but still working on it, still work in progress. So remember that like blood test that I was talking about earlier, the very first one that I did? Here's my A1C, and A1C is like the blood glucose test. You do it every 3 months if you're a diabetic, and it just like tells you how much sugar is present in your body, in your blood sugar, in your blood. It was 18.3. 18.3. It's supposed to be 7. It's supposed to be 7 and it was 18. And the one I did like in November, it was 8.8. So, I mean, not very good, but I mean, not 18, you know, still on the down low. And I'm gonna be taking my next one like next week, I think, very soon, coming up. Diabetes. If you have it, you don't have to be old or young or fat or thin or just whatever. You can be anybody. I didn't think I would be a sick person, but I don't see myself as a sick person even though I have this condition that will be with me for the rest of my life that I have to deal with. But people have it worse than me, you know? Some people have things easier in their life and some people have things harder. I was lucky that what I have is treatable, and as long as I kind of keep on top of it, I can lead a completely regular life, and it is an invisible disease. Unless I was wearing like a pump, like right here or whatever, if you didn't see that, you would not know that I was a diabetic. And I should have a bracelet. It's coming in the mail. My other one broke. So many people have diabetes, and yeah, type 1 diabetes is nowhere near as prevalent as type 2, but I mean, diabetes is diabetes, and anybody can have it. I'm just lucky where I live and the circumstances of what happened, because it could have been 100 times worse. But yeah, so if you have any questions about anything that I talked about today, definitely leave it down below. Probably left out a lot of important things, and I apologize. I just kind of talked, but I just really wanted to kind of have a one-on-one chat with my internet friends, and hopefully if you're watching this and you are a diabetic person, I really hope that this has been some sort of a helpful thing for you. And if you watched it and you don't have diabetes, hopefully you kind of learned something. And I'm not saying what happened to me is going to happen to you. Like, 1.5 year chunk of diabetes just like was a black hole of my life. And it could have been ended so much quicker if I didn't go to just a walk-in clinic, and if I went to like a set doctor and was like, we need to figure this out, and I'm not going to any other doctors, and I didn't do that. Whatever, can't cry over spilt milk. But yeah, I'm not trying to freak people out if you have these symptoms, but if you have these symptoms, check your blood sugar at your doctor's, please. Just do it. So best wishes if you are a diabetic like myself. Definitely feel free to hit me up on like Twitter or in the comments below if you ever need to talk about like anything. Just, I am here as an ear. Genuinely, if you want to just like talk to somebody, like, you know, we could talk, we're friends. But yeah, so thank you for watching my video. My name is Sarah, and I will see you guys later.